Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out, thanks and appreciation to Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Henrik86, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Liam Nedrick, Dank, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Tina Baker, Alexander Main and David Wayne Foster. So another massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'm going to move over to the Discord server, so hopefully there'll be a conversation that you can enjoy going on there while I set up for today's live show.
I mean, just wait till he comes on the show and then he'll give you backdrop and then you can play it.
Don't mind, if it's his video, I don't mind playing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely his.
It's the one you mean? Sly Sparkane thinks something or other.
Yeah, yeah, and then the one above that, I think, as well. There's just two of them.
Okay. Just demonstrating perspective.
Yeah, both of them.
Don't know if it's his music. So
yeah, well, that I don't know.
I don't know, so
let's just wait.
Okay, good video. Yeah, nicely done. What
did
you say there was another
simple
one? What's the other one?
It's similar. He's moving. And it also has music too, I think. So you may not do it with the sound. You don't need sound. Just cut captions.
Okay. Yeah, it says he's got it nicely labelled up.
Yeah, you don't even need volume. He doesn't talk.
That's cool. So his paint booth looks like train tracks.
Mm-hmm. And you can see the angular drop as compression.
Nicely done. Yeah, again, similar thing. Very good. Nicely done. He's done a few, hasn't he? That's not the first time he's made videos.
No.
I vaguely remember him making... Oh, no, he did it on the show, did he not? He was talking about gas pressure without a container, and then he just showed us live on one of the streams from memory.
Yeah, that was his compressor at work from his former job.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he do something with Spurs when Spurs was on that there is no pressure at all.
That was the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Thankfully, Spurs has abandoned that tangent. I mean, I'm sure it was a worthwhile exploratory tangent that he took on. Let's never talk of it ever again.
Neil, don't let your temperature rise.
No, not today.
That was a pun, by the way.
I know.
Did you get your new car yet?
Oh, forget it. I was at my brother-in-law's yesterday. We put bushings on the front tires.
Yeah.
And it still didn't solve the sound. I got like a squeaking sound as I accelerate. So I don't know what it is. The AC stopped working again. Just got it fixed 2 weeks ago and it went out again. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Over a 10-year-old car issues. Nowadays, over 5-year-old car issues.
Yeah, I just don't want to go too far. Like we went to the city. What's that?
I'm sorry. I said same thing happens with RVs. If you're going to buy a recreational vehicle, it better be under 10 years old if it's a good manufacturer, and under 6 years old if it's a bad manufacturer, because they start going bad.
Well, the problem is everyone that we look at, when we get the VIN number and we have this app, a dealer app, and most of them, they rolled back the freaking miles. I haven't found one that I like where it's legit.
Hey, the news off that boob tube isn't even legit. What do you expect?
Just being very patient. My wife is showing me cars every day, but something's wrong with them, either with the miles or another issue. Just got to be patient.
Single owner, private ad, your best bet. Limit your search. Don't look at every car. Look at private owner, single owner sale.
Yeah, well, those are hard to come by.
But they're the ones that won't give you all this drama.
Yeah, they're the ones that aren't selling their cars.
Exactly. Got to find an old lady that was just sell a car that. Hey, listen.
That's
I noticed her.
That's what I'm saying.
My cousin Connie, she had a 73 Rally Sport. This is back in the 70s. And in 1983, she still only had 16,000 miles on it. I used to steal a car at night and put more miles on it than she put on it. She never drove it. What a beautiful car.
Find an old
day,
home community.
A young Neil wrapped that RS round a tree, and it was never driven.
No, I didn't. I took a fence down. No, I took a whole fence down.
Was that your first offense or second?
Boom.
No, you gotta find the old age home, like a Leisure World or something. Those people sell their cars all the time because they get too old, they can't drive, their eyes aren't working anymore. Limit your search.
It's all well and good speculate about that ideal vendor of a car, but it's very, very hard to find one because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cars and plenty of people who know how to make money off them. So that's what you'll have to wade through, and you are. But fortunately, you're savvy enough to know what you're wading through. But you'll find that car. There's so many of them, so you will find one. You know, the odds are definitely stacked in your favour, Neil. So as you say, just be patient. You will find that right car.
Turn up the radio when you hear that squealing sound. Then you won't hear it.
I know it's not your server, Nathan, but I was just talking to Crit, and he told me he got kicked off the server.
Not my server.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't want to get into the politics of it, but my belief is there should be no baller that has power over a flat earther at all.
Alrighty then.
They don't have any power over a flat earther. All their arguments die.
Yeah, well, they do in the after show. But I don't want to get into that. It's not Nathan's server.
In the after show. That very critical room that gets broadcast so often. That one.
I don't stick around in it, but that's why I don't stick around in there. So maybe he got himself in trouble. I do not stay there. When the main guys are gone, I'm gone.
But man, the cockroach problem. The server owner won't care. Yeah, there's a cockroach problem. We're all aware of the cockroach problem.
Well, it's obviously bugging Neil.
I know. What's that?
It's obviously bugging you.
The roach problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, they come out at night when everybody's gone.
Yeah. But you can just go to a different room. Leave the cockroaches where they are.
That's too funny, man.
And that's what I do.
Problem solved.
Good job.
There you go. Glad we
Good
have this
job.
conversation.
I can't stick around there because I get a headache. Who the hell wants to listen to Zanuck for more than 5 minutes?
Oh gosh, is that what we're talking about?
People need that pain relief. Some people need Zanuck to preach his nonsense to them so they can feel better for a few hours. Forget about this flat earth thing.
That sounded great. Get new Zanuck for pain relief.
Yeah.
See, I think I know what it is. See, you can't die on every cross. And if the remark was made that they're there to knock all the flat earthers off the server and bring science back, I would just laugh about it and move on. Whereas the person I'm talking about might have went to battle and went a little too far.
Yeah, well said. You can't die on every cross. You can't dedicate your life to the comments. The fact that these people have. So what? Let them waste their time doing that.
In the real show, they lose their position, their argument, their pseudosphere. In the after show, they cry about it.
Nobody comes before the show's live anymore. I doubt this reaches anybody before I press go.
Is there no one else in Discord?
No, that's not what I mean. On the live show, so I schedule this live show, and they've changed it slightly so that when you schedule a live show now, it takes you to the new fangled streaming software that YouTube have used, and I haven't bothered to learn yet, so I just keep reverting back to the old type. And since then, no one comes. Until it's live, no one comes.
Well, are you saying, okay, so I just found your notification here for today's show.
Take it all back if you've had a notification.
Yeah, I just saw it. And
or at least that means it's working. That's at least encouraging.
Yeah.
I never get when they come on live.
No, that's what I get told. That's why I was a bit surprised when 10th Man said, "Oh, I've got a notification here." It's like, oh, that's unexpected. That's quite contrary to what I'm told.
It used to be that way for me too, where, remember a while back ago, not too long, that no one was getting it. And now, then all of a sudden, they were working. And so far, mine is still working.
I have members tell me, members who've paid to be part of Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, tell me that they've been unsubscribed from Nathan Oakley 1980 channel.
What? Oh my gosh.
Brilliant.
More shenanigans. World of lies. World of double deals.
I'll let you know when the first person says hello in the live stream that's been published and you've had a notification for. But no one else is here. Just by coincidence. Almost 19,000 people. And it seems like no one knows I'm about to go live. Maybe they've all just stopped caring. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, I mean, those numbers should be much higher based on the subscriber account. Of
course. I'm never going to disagree with that. Subscribe today if you've not already.
Yeah. No, it has to be, because you also, and the reason I say that is because of the other analytics you've shared with us, which were average watch time.
Yeah, that just means there's a very dedicated audience. And it's reaching very few fresh people that might switch off after a minute or two. The only people who are watching know they want to watch and will watch for the duration. That's reflected very much in the statistics, but that just means I'm not reaching any new people.
Well, the angle I was looking at it from is the people you do have. Let's say you got no new people, just for this example that I'm about to lay out. So you got 19,000 and some other number attached to 19,000. So 19,300, let's say. And you have a very dedicated audience who tunes in and watches. But that, can you go back a while ago to where before all of this stuff was happening, where what I'm saying played out exactly to that, where the pre-show was full and the notifications were getting to everybody, and then we had a little bump in the road, and now even if you didn't reach any new people, the same people know how to find you, and some of them can't find you because they got unsubscribed, so they're trying to subscribe again. But you should have more.
I always feel that way. Hey, Flatsoid.
Hey, Flatsoid, like your two little videos you put out.
Sly doesn't like them though.
Sly.
Yeah, I played your videos.
I'm dishonest. What?
Your videos got played. What I'll do, although it kind of seems pointless, is I'll get the share link from one of your videos, Flatsoid, and I'll stick it in the live stream chat for the published live stream that's about to go out, because there's... Oh no, I spoke too soon. Somebody's in there. There you go, I take it all back. So one person's got to see your link.
Bye.
There it is. It's called...
It's weird how the people will change in angular size and lower due to perspective.
Get the link to the other one as well.
So, Flatsoid, Sly actually said you were dishonest?
Yeah, it's telling me my floor has got a dip. It's not level. And what's it? A KC maths teacher or something says my tiles on the wall are also not level, so I'm also dishonest. And then she puts some kind of X marks the spot there, but she marked it from the furthest people and then placed it on front to the top. She says, look, you're not even at eye level on your front observation.
There you have it.
They're just in denial. They'll come up with any old excuse. The old, your floor's not level. Oh, right.
Well, they did the same thing to BLMSB 69. They said he wasn't where he said he was on the height of his P900 or 1000.
Yeah, whatever. Just denial.
Yeah, but you see the problem now, I did a demonstration a few months ago with bottom-up compression on the same tiles, where they said, no, your floor is dipping down. Now all of a sudden it's dipping up. How's that work?
There you go. You set them up perfectly.
Any excuse.
Dipping up tiles, dipping down tiles.
I want to actually go and call the contractor. I want level tiles in my house.
It's amazing how every demonstration of perspective seems to come with a flat surface that's actually curved. It's amazing how they project their own sphere assumptions onto all flat surfaces. That flat surface, that's curved. Oh, right. Yeah, so a physical obstruction.
They even projected onto the geometry.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Straight lines.
That's exactly what I mean. Exactly.
Good points. Straight is curved to them.
But in the case of your floor, obviously it'd be a physical sphere edge comparison, i.e. it's physical obstruction of the floor-based variety. Of course, when it comes to earth-based curvature, obstruction of the sphere-based variety, we don't see the geometric horizon, it can't be seen, it's only existing in the maths. So who cares if it's your floor? It's not going to be comparable to something that we can't see, can't be measured, only exists in maths. That would be the reification of Earth curve.
So in their bad usage of words, they would say the floor would be level if there was no atmosphere.
Right. Yeah, you're not taking into account the curved atmosphere over that floor.
Just the weird thing is, how would we be able to demonstrate this on a flat surface? And they would say it's curved on a flat surface.
Yeah, when it gets down to the brass tacks of the argument, they will literally say that level is curved. That's how far they'll push it. They're just nuts. It's almost comical now.
I've done floors about, the biggest one I've done was about 300 feet in length. It was a really big gymnasium. And we leveled off the floor and dropped our lines, and I measured to the center of the earth shit.
Yeah, but your floor was still curved at the end. You don't understand.
But the tiles would have cracked. They were curved.
Once you move to the other end, once you've got it all perfectly flat, right, Neil? You've got it all laser level flat, right, with your plums and your levels,
right.
Whatever they're worth.
We use self-level. We poured a self-level up to maybe an eighth of an inch thick. And it's self-level floor. You rake it and it just flows in, and it's perfect.
Oh, didn't you know? What it actually did was conformed to gravity and orientated itself towards the centre of the Earth. That's what that self-levelling floor did, because levels curved according to them. According to fundamentalist religious sphere-believing zealots, levels curved. Therefore, when it levelled itself, it curved itself.
It's insanity.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. You're right, Neil. It is nuts.
We've had a few construction projects on the homes and buildings on the property where, they're older buildings. And I remember one time when I was in the trades as well, in my early 20s, we did the same thing. They have this special kind of concrete or cement mix. It's like water. It finds its level, so you mix it all up, and you just pour it over the uneven floor. And it fills it up. All the low spots gets filled up, and you level your floor.
Yeah, self-level. That's what it's called.
Yeah, so therefore
curved. Like water. It does. It comes out like water.
Yeah, like water. Therefore curved.
Stop it, man. I'm dying.
There you have it.
Curved water. Curved water. Love it.
Yo.
Hey.
Good morning.
You're early today.
Only by a few minutes.
What's a few minutes between friends?
Yeah, why not? Can you guys hear me okay?
You're muffled a bit.
Yeah, just muffled.
Yeah, these headphones kind of suck. So I probably won't speak too much today.
Get the kind of headphones. Get the kind of headphones that are centered to the middle of the earth. They'll work better.
Oh yeah, the PNS waves collected.
That's the one.
Headphones.
That's right. Bose P waves and S waves.
Yep.
Keep coming out with propaganda, though. Every day NASA comes out with a new discovery.
That's kind of their job, though.
What's the new one?
It being so often, though. Maybe because I wasn't paying attention, but it seems like every day it's something new now since Flat Earth has been really taken off. But it could be that I just wasn't paying attention. I don't know.
I think it's just that you weren't paying attention. Before Flat Earth, I was subscribed to a channel called Science at NASA, and every other day, or maybe every 3 days, they'd release a new video detailing the new discoveries. And I've said this before, it always left me feeling very, very hollow and very empty because you never got to see anything. And it disclaimed it. To be fair to them, it would say, visualization, CGI image or whatever at the bottom right hand corner of whatever they were showing you that was obviously a cartoon. So that's what they do. That's just what they do. So yeah, I think you're just paying more attention than you were.
Hey, Nathan, yesterday I had a truckload plus another truck another bin that I don't even know how to say it, but how they pull a trailer in the back of a big rock truck. So I ordered 3/4 inch rock for the property, and so he comes on and he says, "Where do you want me to, dump all your rock?" I said, "Here, and then a little bit over there." He said, "All right." And I don't even know how it happened, but we get onto this whole subject, right? And of flat Earth and everything. And he's really a cool guy. And so I asked him the top 3 housekeeping questions, and his eyes rolled back to the back of his head. He says, "You know what? Those are pretty good questions." He said, "I never thought about it that way." And then we had a nice little conversation. He gave me his phone number. He wants me to send him stuff and communicate with him. He wants to know more. And then he says, "Well, I'm into all the the missile stuff, like, Raytheon and all that. And I said, "Oh, I got something about the sea sparrow you need to see." So I told him, over 30 miles, how I would have to go through 24 miles of water. He says, "That's ridiculous. That could never happen."
Nice to hear he's receptive.
Very receptive. Who's mumbling?
I take it 24/7 Discord's back up now on YouTube, as I saw them broadcasting. Was it just a 7-day ban that they got?
Maybe chocolate. No, so I don't.
Must be. They're back up and running. I had Neil on there this morning.
Neil's making the rounds.
Oh, you heard me going off this morning, huh?
Yeah, moaning about Corona.
Well, let
Try
me go
Heineken.
back to work then. If they're not going to send me freaking money, then let me go back to work.
We're about to start. We're about to go live in a
I wasn't
minute.
accused to keep talking.
I've left it late in the pre-show to mention.
Nathan, they're expecting me to make ends meet with 3 growing boys on $500 a week. I can't do it.
Okay, I can't do anything about that, Neil. I'm really sorry.
I'm done.
Fair enough.
But I'm right.
Talk.
I'm sure you
Well,
are.
your kids won't die. They'll just eat less.
By the way, too bad you just can't taste this pizza that I picked up from Queens yesterday. Oh my God. It's the best
wonder-
ever. And
I
I
bet.
feel
Thought
bad
you were
because you'll
dying.
never get to taste it.
Thought you were dying. You're eating pizza and
Well-
complaining? My goodness.
That's what I do. I eat pizza whenever I go to Queens.
Uncut.
There's this store called Rosa Pizza, and they do an upside down Sicilian, where it's
Wait,
cheese
we're in
first and
Queens. We're in
meatballs.
Queens. You go.
Okay, the one I get it from is on 78th Street off Metropolitan Avenue, called Rosa.
Yeah.
Just in case
And
there's
they got
anybody
the
in
upside
Queens.
down
You
Sicilian.
might as well give the name of the pizza parlour now. Now they're getting a full-on advert out of this.
Might as well.
What's the name
Go
of the
ahead,
pizza?
Neil.
Rosa Pizza. They're brothers that came from Sicily in the
Rosa Pizza?
70s.
I know them. They make a really good calzone, right?
Yeah, calzones are good too.
Yeah, you see, I knew they were. Got a worldwide reputation.
I gotta figure out a way to freeze it and send it to you, Nathan.
No,
That was
please don't.
nice.
No, I'm good. One day I will come to Queens and have that pizza pie.
That was a good
Listen,
segue, by the way.
It stands up to a 2-hour drive, reheated. That's how you know pizza's good. If you could reheat it in your house and it tastes good, it's good.
That's my standard too. If it goes well in the microwave, then it's always a good pizza. Of course, that's basically the universal standard as far as I'm aware.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Paul Hall, Flatzoid, Chocolate Sane, and Brian, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Happy Thursday, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Good morning, welcome.
Yo, yo.
Hello. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the Earth curve that block boats and buildings in the distance?
Not from Rosa Pizzeria in Queens.
It's a good
You
pizzeria.
can do demonstrations. No, because you can do demonstrations on a flat surface that shows the same observation.
Oh, what a coincidence, Flatzoid. I've got one of those right here. Should we play that?
You can go ahead if you want.
It's on screen for the audience's benefit. Do you want to talk us through what it's
I
the one
promise
with
I
Splice
promise I
Games
won't
one?
copyright strike you.
No, please don't. It's the one with your cheese grater.
Oh, the one where Slice is dipping down and then up again. I don't know.
Epic. Of course, we established in the pre-show that, of course, these tiles are curved.
Yeah. People don't build level floors. It's amazing.
It is. Every time there's an assertion of perspective, we seem to end up with an assertion that we've got incompetent floors all over the surface of our plane. Nevertheless, any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Sorry, just before we move on, I missed that what was just played. Could you just give me a rundown of what happened there?
Flatzoid is talking to you, my friend.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, Brian. Yeah. What's wrong?
What exactly happened there, flat side? Because I just missed it. I just had the Skype open and not the.
Oh no. Sly Spock makes a claim that if you check with a peephole and it's eye level, no matter the distance, the peephole will always stay at eye level, even when the angular size changes. So I showed him that's impossible with angular size changing because the peephole is in a fixed angle. It's going to sink.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to appear to. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Hello,
Thanks for playing that again, Nathan.
I was going to play the other one. He's done two.
Yeah, I made another one showing level because they first moaned saying I wasn't on a level.
So I'm playing this one out. I know you can't see Flatzoid, but I've got you in your paint booth.
See, I'm a qualified spray painter.
Sweet booth, by the way. Big.
Oof.
Look how much
That's
room
just
you've
the
got.
one. I've got another one that's bigger.
Have even that one. It's got loads of space.
Hurricane. Yeah, this one's small. The one on next door is even bigger. And for two in the next one.
There we go, Brian. Was that good enough for you, my friend?
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. Thanks, flat side. Yeah, that you know that thing I show, Nathan, with the when you make a parallel. Remember I showed with the laser beam, the laser appearing to drop. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, perspective.
More or less.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Angular
I
size.
have one other.
I was just going to give it a bit more of an official title. Angular size reduction over distance.
Yes, exactly.
Compression, yeah.
I have one other question though to do before you move on from that first question. Is our curve going up in front of our vision, blocking what we see in our horizontal, or is it falling away from our feet in all directions?
According to the
globe seem to have got.
The official rhetoric is that it's falling away from you. So every position on a sphere, a presupposed sphere Earth, is the top of that sphere. I.e., when you draw in your line to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, you're at the top of that sphere, and you're looking down. So the Earth is falling away from you at 8 inches per mile squared, according to the standard rhetoric. Now, how they depict it, how they draw it with the sagittor, may vary. It may have you tipping back on your ankles, but it doesn't change the fact that their assertions, by way of their presuppositions of gravity and their reified mathematics, would state that you're on the top looking down.
Right, it's only geometric, not optical.
Correct. Hey,
Yeah, and
Arwin, by the way.
it's on your arc, curve.
Just to bring Brian's point back to Brian's point so he can carry on. So if there's an assertion that there's a hump between you and it, you're still looking down with a hump between you and the target. So here we go. This example here with National Geographic has the hump rising in front of you. But if you look, the way it's depicted, he's literally having to tip back on his ankles to account for the fact that he's not on the top of the sphere. The boat's on the top of the sphere. Well, every vantage point for measurement purposes assumes on a sphere Earth that you're at the top, unlike this depiction. Perfect timing from National Geographic.
Yeah, because what's funny is on the globe side, at least half, if not more than half, of their supposed globe observations show things actually coming up to block your horizontal vision. And then there's other supposed Earth curve observations where things seem to be sunken in the distance. So I just want to get clear what the hell they are actually talking about. But yeah.
The ones that know their rhetoric, and assuming they're not double speaking to get around some problem they've been posed, the ones who understand how the sphere Earth works would assert that you're stood on the top looking down and with the Earth falling away from you at 8 inches per mile squared when you presuppose the mathematics of a physical sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve, that only exists in the maths, cannot be seen, cannot be measured. We wouldn't expect to see it, according to the globe side.
Yeah. So, but it's still blocking things anyway.
No.
And sometimes that's in front of your horizontal view, according to them.
When they reify mathematics into a physical horizon that's non-physical, can't be seen, can't be measured, yes, it makes no sense, but yes.
Okay, I am totally up to date now and up to speed. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, but therein lies their loss, because they had Earth curve, and now they are distancing themselves from Earth curve because of the black swan. So they're dead both ways.
That's
until they.
It's so hard.
Hold on, I heard a rumbling of an objection from Discord.
Hey, Chocolate.
Yeah, that's not true, though.
What's not true? You have
What's
to be...
actually happening is simply a differentiation between optical and geometric, not geometric, and physical solid manifestation. Simply because light refracts in air, and therefore light does not necessarily travel lines over long distances. And that's just true.
And?
Nothing more. There's nothing more to it.
How does this prove spherical Earth?
It doesn't.
No.
Nobody claimed it does.
Yeah, but there's claims
It's just brought as evidence.
They do claim it does.
As evidence against the globe, which is fallacious.
Sorry, just want to correct you.
Because
it is claimed. So, have you never seen an Earth curve calculator where they assume a physical geometric sphere edge horizons blocking your boats and buildings in the distance? It's absolutely claimed. It's also got your optical effect worked into the maths with a presuppositional R at the rate of 7/6 of that presupposed radius. That's their claim to be optical effect. It's not, it's maths. But no, you're wrong. It is absolutely claimed.
No.
So you haven't ever seen an Earth curve calculator then?
I did.
Well, that's your claim. Therein lies your claim. Physical Earth curve edge obstruction, called the horizon. That's your claim.
They do not consider.
Why are you mumbling through me? Shut up. That's your claim. You're wrong. You fundy fuckwits claim the Earth's a sphere with Earth curve maths that claims a physical sphere edge horizon that we're simultaneously told by your side cannot be seen, doesn't exist, only exists in the maths, and we wouldn't expect to see it. It's claim you make. Globehead, it's just wrong. We haven't got a physical sphere edge blocking boats and buildings, and the optical effect is 7/6R, non-optical mathematical. So you're wrong.
No.
What do you mean no?
That's your misconstruction of it.
Oh, my misconstruction of an Earth curve calculator? No, not mine. Yours, Fundy. Your maths, your claim, not mine. Not my misapprehension. No. An Earth curve maths that claims a physical obstruction.
It's not mine.
Don't talk through me, Fundy. Don't talk through me. Don't talk through me, you Fundy. No, there is a claim. You are incorrect. Earth curve maths claims a physical obstruction. It's called Earth curve, formerly known as a geometric horizon based on R. Don't talk through me while I berate your fundamentalist zealot belief that you're on a sphere. You're not. We've debunked the R value with the black swan. Don't talk through me. What is your problem? What's your malfunction, fundamentalist zealot? Just shut up. You're being told that your religion in a sphere is wrong. You claim it's not a claim. It is. You claim it.
Nathan, you do not believe what you're spouting here, right?
It's not a belief. I'm talking about your maths, you stupid idiot.
You do not believe what you're saying.
It's not a belief. I'm talking about your maths that you claim. It's nothing to do with my beliefs.
Not believe what you're...
Can you stop talking about my beliefs?
People here.
Hello, moron.
Right?
Hello? It's not my belief. It's a mathematical
That's your only
formula.
Response, calling me a moron?
Yeah, you aren't listening, moron. It's not a belief. It's your maths, your claim that you're denying.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you've got a belief in a sphere Earth while Arwen now starts to rumpus me. You've got a belief and a claim that the horizon's physical and blocks stuff. That makes you a moron when you deny the claim and seem to superimpose my belief onto your claim. Moron.
So, the statement was because of the black swan observation, people distance themselves from physical Earth, from the Earth physically curving. And I said, no, that's not what's happening. What's happening in that discussion is a differentiation between discussing refraction and the fact that light does not travel in a straight line anymore in that case. And
we heard all this. We heard. Sorry, do you think I need to parrot off the same shit twice? I heard. And we discussed it. I said, what does this prove? Nothing was your response.
Do with the Earth curve calculators, because obviously you cannot apply the Earth curve calculator to the black swan observations. Obviously, there is a significant refraction happening in either case. In any case, you see the grains of oil rigs all...
Covered this as well. You weren't listening. You're a moron. Your optical effect is 7/6R. Your refraction is mathematical. You ignored that too. You're a moron. You just don't listen.
Picture. And
you're not listening.
You cannot use the Earth curve calculators that use straight lines that approximate light traveling in straight lines.
No, they're measuring geometry. You stupid fuckwit. Don't you know how the geometric maths works in that Earth curve calculator? You seem to be telling me that it's not accounting for light. It's geometric, you stupid idiot. Sod all to do with light. The fact that you superimpose 7/6R and call it optical effects doesn't mean that your mathematics of geometry doesn't require a straight line to do geometry. You're just a fuckwit.
To get money.
Sorry, what are you babbling through me about? You're not listening to a single word I respond to you with. You're just talking constantly in the Discord server. So you think that I won't be heard? No, moron. While I'm talking, I'll shut you up. And I'll carry on pummeling your nonsense assertion that there isn't a claim of sphere Earth and somehow geometry has anything to do with optical effects and somehow doesn't need straight lines. Yeah, it does.
No. Need, it's just the fact that you cannot apply to the path of light if the path of light is not straight.
What are you babbling about? Geometry requires a tangent line that's straight. Your maths is geometric. Sorry, don't talk through me. Hello, you fundy spastic. When I talk, shut up. Geometry requires a tangent.
So what?
So your maths is geometric, you unbelievable moron.
So what?
So you haven't got a straight line. You're telling me how it's not straight. So you can't apply geometry.
Yeah, if the light doesn't travel in a straight line,
then you can't do geometry and apply a tangent. Your maths has a tangent, you stupid idiot.
Nathan, it's as easy as that. If the light doesn't travel in a straight line,
then you can't apply a tangent. So you haven't got a tangent line to derive R.
Yeah, you see the horizon.
Yeah, and it's not physical. You can't derive tangent lines to it, according to you, because everything's bent.
If it's as he says that. If the light doesn't travel in a straight,
then you can't apply a tangent. Therefore, can't apply geometry and assert that geometry is what's blocking boats and buildings at the physical horizon you've derived with the R value by acquiring it with a tangent.
Nathan, you can still draw it.
Oh, you
It's
can
just
still
not the
draw
same
it?
as-
Sorry, how'd you draw a straight line if it's all bent?
You can still draw a tangent. It's just not the
A tangent is straight,
as-
you moron. You can draw a tangent, but it's not straight. Then it's not a tangent. You are mathematically illiterate. You don't seem to understand what a tangent is.
Okay, so
Okay, acknowledge that you telling me you can draw a tangent, it just won't be straight. It's absurd!
if the light doesn't travel,
Yo, moron. You've just told me that you can draw a tangent, but it won't be straight. That's moronic.
no, that's not what I'm saying. If then all that
Literally what
happens
you said,
is
though.
the
He hasn't
horizon
got a clue
will
what
not
he's talking
be
about.
where the
Doesn't even know
geometric
what he's
horizon,
saying.
which is
Yeah, I
which
can
is where
talk
the
through you too, you stupid spastic. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just muttering nonsense now.
Okay, so if light doesn't travel in a straight line,
Then you can't derive a tangent and do geometry to assert physical geometry's blocking things.
okay, so if
Not okay. The demolition of your fundy belief in a sphere Earth based on geometry and tangent lines.
Nathan,
Why'd you keep saying my name every time I rape you?
Nathan,
Yeah, you just keep saying my name while I rape you. Yeah, you're being raped.
yeah, because you're not letting me finish any sentence.
You keep telling me how you can't get a straight line, and your model requires one.
You keep interrupting me.
You
at the
haven't shut
beginning
up!
of my sentence. You begin to interrupt.
You're just stuttering like a bitch, right? You're telling me how you can't derive a tangent. Bye-bye, tangential-based geometry that asserts physical sphere edge horizon. Bye-bye. No tangent to derive that R.
If
Yes, stutter.
line,
Stutter.
if light doesn't travel in a straight line, which
Then you don't have a
doesn't over
tangent.
long distances,
Then you don't have a tangent.
then all that
Then you do not
Stop
have a
interrupting.
tangent.
interrupting me.
Yeah, because you don't have a tangent. You need one for your geometry, you stupid idiot. You just keep whistling past it.
Finish one sentence.
Yeah, if you don't have a straight line, that's where your argument ends because you require one.
No.
Yeah, geometry requires a tangent. But you get angry about it for me, you little bitch. Yeah? Well, I tell you that you need one for geometry.
Damn it.
Stop
You fucking
swearing,
moron.
you prick.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
chill out, dude. Chill out. Just because your globe's dying in a horrible, painful pool of blood doesn't mean that you have to babble on about me not letting you speak when I keep pointing out that when you assert you can't draw a straight line to the horizon, then you can't draw a straight line. That'd be a tangent, mate.
Exactly.
So you can't do geometry. It requires tangent lines. You stupid moron. How many times have I got to tell these fundies that if you haven't got a straight line, then you haven't got a straight line? And what is a tangent? Oh, it's a straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you haven't got one, have you? You keep telling me how it's bent.
You see what that means? That
Yeah, it means your globe's dead. That's what it means, you stupid moron. Your model is based in geometry. Hello? That's what it means.
it means one thing only.
Yeah, globe dead. No geometry. Al-Biruni did not derive an R value. You can't derive an R value. You wouldn't expect to see a geometric horizon. The geometric horizon only exists in maths, and according to you, all lines to it are bent.
And on top of that, your
Wow.
terrestrial refraction is a begging the question fallacy. So you're dead on all accounts, my friend. Sorry.
May I finish one sentence, please?
Sorry, is that all you've got to moan about not finishing a sentence? Your first sentence is all lines to the horizon are bent. That's your assertion. Therefore, no tangent line. So you think I'm going to stop interrupting you at the point that you pummel your own argument when your model's geometric and needs tangent lines, you think I'm going to let you waffle on beyond that? Because that's what crucifies your argument. So no, every time you say all lines to it are bent, I'll say that's the death of your model. And you can think that you can fucking waffle through every word of it and it'll be effective. It won't be, Pickle Rick.
Okay, so no, it does not need a straight tangent line.
Oh, right, geometry doesn't need tangents, you fucking moron. Yeah, it does. You are stupid. If you think geometry doesn't need tangents, you're stupid. It needs a tangent to do geometry. You're just wrong.
The model does not need straight lines.
Yeah, it does. It's a geometric model, you stupid idiot. Oh, my geometric model doesn't need a tangent. Why the hell would it be called geometric then? Answer me, you stupid globehead. Why would it be called a geometric model if it doesn't need tangents?
Exactly.
Not exactly. Why would you call it geometric if it doesn't need tangents? Exactly. That was a closed yes or no question, was it?
What geometric are you talking about?
Yeah, your globe belief, you stupid idiot. That's what geometric. Your bloody globe belief. That's what geometric.
It's not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, your globe belief's geometric. It's based on a geometric value of R. Yeah, your model's based on R. That curve maths, that's based on R. Yeah, that R that we debunked with the black swan. Yeah, that's all geometric, you stupid idiot.
Yeah, and where does it say that it needs to be a straight?
That's what geometry is!
A straight line.
Basic geometry, which you obviously did not get in school.
That's the end of him.
Pickle Rick.
Hey, bye-bye, Pickle Rick. You don't even understand what basic geometry is, so sod off. Get out. You're a stupid moron. You don't even understand what geometry is if you're asking why he needs a tangent. You're a stupid moron.
Nathan, his assertion was that you're lying to everybody and you're doing it for money. He's a freaking moron.
Yeah, a moron who doesn't understand that geometry requires tangents is claiming that I'm a liar deceiving people for money. Oh, right. Smash the super chat.
And he doesn't need a straight line except for his radius.
No, I don't think he even gets to that point of realizing that. He just doesn't understand what geometry is at all, and he's just seeing this globe and then sloppily trying to reify it into reality, but he doesn't understand geometry, or he wouldn't have made those statements. It's really stupid.
Then he brought up the oil rigs being all blurry, and we're not talking about the oil rigs in the Black Swan, correct?
They're just demarcating the distance.
He's just trying to insert refraction as the reason why we don't see the globe. It's the usual nonsense, you know. So it's back to not being able to prove. The whole point of the Black Swan is we disprove R, and then they try and insert refraction, terrestrial refraction, which is based on their R. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he also didn't understand the argument.
We know what you mean. No, we know what you mean, and that was beautiful. That should be a little segment you cut out, Nathan, because this guy had convenient amnesia after you made him stick to the geometry he's got to stick to, because he said it's straight, but then light bends, and then you said, well, then you can't have it because you can never measure it. He didn't even know what the apparent horizon was, a non-physical.
Yeah, it needs to be physical.
Based on his swearing.
It needs to be physical and capable of being measured with a tangent. That's the assertion that we're on a sphere. That's the essence of their assertion that we're on a globe.
It's the same with the lack of Earth-based Coriolis. They fight against the deviation. Now they fight against this. They just are losing it.
Right, let's move on.
I was waiting for you. Sorry.
Oh, go on. If you've got something else to add, before we go on to axial rotation.
I was just saying, I was waiting for Kent to come in and start speaking about Andrew Thomas Young doing all these measurements over a flat plane.
I think I've used my dollar there a few times, huh?
I don't mind. Feel free, 10th man.
Yeah, well, Andrew Thomas Young, the so-called expert on their side, says in his study of refraction of light that all of his calculations were based on a plane. In order to make it work on a sphere, you have to take geometrical considerations. So go to this page, and then if you're more interested in detail, go to this other page. So basically what he's saying is it's just a thought experiment. It's a Jedi mind trick, but we have a way of making straight curved if you go to another page. And let me reify it for you.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
Nope.
No.
But as 10th Man correctly identified, just like with the argument we just had about Earth curvature, i.e. you need to see it needs to be physical, but we can't see it, it only exists in the maths, the same principle of bait and switch and messing people around mentally is done with Coriolis effect. There's a claim, Earth spins. The claim proof is a 15 degrees an hour deviation, as Earth rotates underneath other things, making them seem to drift away from you. In reality, it's you drifting away from them because you're on a turning Earth, according to the claim that we're on a sphere Earth that spins. Now, in reality, whenever we point out that nothing is deviating, nothing's drifting at 15 degrees an hour away from you, because if it did, it would shorten flight times. You observe the plane seem to drift because Earth's turning underneath it? Well, that would mean Earth's turning underneath the plane. And it would shorten the flight times when travelling west. It doesn't. So we end up in a cluster mess of them obfuscating that fact that they don't have 15 degrees an hour to prove the Earth is spinning, because it isn't. And they justify why we don't have any drift, when that's the very thing they're supposed to be proving. Like with Earth curve, they're supposed to be proving physical Earth curve horizon. Not telling us how it only exists in maths, or we could never measure it.
And the cause of this supposed Earth turn is this supposed solid and non-solid in our core. Sorry, Nathan, you speaking?
There's Jazz. Go ahead, Jazz.
No, we got...
Oh, sorry, no, I was just saying that you just said maths and measure in the same sentence.
Maths and measure? Confusing. You're a bit muffled, Jazz. I can't make out what you're saying.
Oh, no, sorry, I'll give up it. I think I've got a shit mic. Is that the case?
It's very bassy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely shitty mic.
More from Barry right later, I'm sure.
I'll sign out. I'll leave this to it.
Okay. Go ahead, Brian. I think he's giving up.
Thank you. The cause of the supposed rotation, is that not the supposed solid and outer non-solid core that is part of this reason for them rotating? And they only ever dug down 7.61 miles of the supposed close to 4,000 mile distance, or several thousand miles to the supposed core. So the cause of this supposed rotation is a core that's thousands of miles away, thousands of miles deeper than they ever dug down. So it's absolute total and utter nonsense.
Well,
besides the fact that there's no physical evidence of it. What?
Two things you've covered there. So any evidence of the R value? That'd be the 3959 claim to be distance to the centre of the Earth.
No evidence. No R.
Yes. Because you can't see it.
You just can't see it, measure it. It only exists in the maths.
It's geometry, right?
Yeah, that's right, Alvin.
So what if it's impossible to measure, but you just deduce that it has to be there because you presuppose it?
Just like what's happening in the night sky doesn't tell us what shape the Earth is. Even if you dug down deeper and hit a rock of some type, that doesn't tell you what shape the Earth is either. But if you can show that curvature, if you can show, hang on, but if you could show that curvature we're all looking for, you know, they used to block boats and buildings. If you could show us that arc of a curve that would match a sphere based on R, now you would be having something there. But you're running away from all that.
Right. Because you can't see the curvature that is there. Because light bends to uncurve everything. You know, it's a conspiracy of the optics itself that causes obvious spherical nature of things you're standing on to look all flat and all that. It's logical.
Now think of what you just said there. The optical that is from light bending every time shows flat. And without it, they say it would be flat. I've never seen, even with light bending, a curve.
How do they even figure out how much light is bending? 76R is changing the size of the Earth, the radius of the Earth. What does that have to do with the light again?
But it's very simple. You just divide it all by R and it'll work out.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, though?
I do.
Like, you're changing R. What does that have to do with the light?
Because straight is curved.
Oh, okay.
That's it right there. That's the mental. That's the mental illness they're dealing with. Straight is curved. See, they get there because they can't show us a curve. So they love their model so much that they have to call it curved straight.
Well, if straight is curved, then peace must also be war, and ignorance must also be strength. What did you say?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
exactly
correct,
how they
Darwin.
are.
I'd just like to mention that everybody needs to. I've got to phrase this correctly now. Stay together by keeping apart in these tough times. All right, just thought I'd get that in there as we're talking about Orwellian doublespeak. Okay, right. Quick shout out, and then I'll move on to the other question that Brian covered. So, shout out to Axial Life, who says geometry is the tool that makes balls drop all over the flat Earth. Share your pain. Thank you very much indeed for the $100 super chat. Really appreciate it, Axial Life. Thank you very much indeed. The other thing that Brian brought up was obviously the molten iron core. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Before you go there, I want to respond because is he also stating that geometry is really manly? Axial Life? If geometry makes your balls drop?
I think he's talking about balls drop as in people's metaphorical retention of a metaphysical ball that they're holding, that they would drop upon discovering that it's not their metaphysical ball, that they're not actually holding, that they're metaphorically dropping. That's the ball he's talking about, I'm pretty sure.
I know, but hey, you can also interpret it the other way, wouldn't you say?
That would be
discovering the truth. Discovering the truth is kind of manly.
That would be a gender pronoun.
Just for
I'm
the audience's benefit, right?
There's no females in the panel.
I don't think that's what he means. Geometry will not take a prepubescent boy into puberty.
Unless they discover that the Earth is not a ball, and then they are confronted.
So you're saying
the world, and they have to take a stand, and that's very manly.
You're saying geometry is so shocking that it would make a young man's balls drop. That's what he was saying. Is that what you're suggesting, Arwin?
Yes.
No. Let's
or
move on.
Or it turns you into a surrenderist baller that just asserts their religion all day long.
Baller. That kind of ball. It's a baller, not testicles. Anyway, can we move on? Any evidence that this is the sun?
Molten iron core, right?
No, distance to the sun. We've covered core.
Right.
Unless Brian, did you?
How would you get that measurement?
To the sun? Well, they get it by assuming R, of course.
Well, you have to go there and then establish the distance, wouldn't you?
You'd have to establish that what you're looking at is actually the sun, and it's not a projection of the sun or a mirage of the sun.
Right. Well, the only way to do that is to actually approach it.
You can't approach it.
It's 93 million miles away.
It's not that it's no. That's based on R. So you can't approach it. You can't approach the sun.
Well, then you got to
go on, Flatsoid.
Light refracts.
I had lots of compressor noise.
He said light refracts.
That's right. Indeed.
What would that mean? That the sun is always behind the Earth, no matter where you are?
What the hell is the sun? Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
Nope.
No evidence of distance, but I want to connect that to a previous question. If the sun, we are told, is moving across the sky because we are on a spinning ball, so why is it when you get off the spinning ball, do the sun and the stars still move?
because the Earth is not a non-inertial spinning reference frame causing the sun to appear to drift when it's actually the sun that is definitely moving. We're stationary. But the fact that this apparent object in the sky moves doesn't in any way imply that we are turning at astronomical speeds underneath it at some points greater than the speed of sound. That's ludicrous. Because as Chocolate's just pointed out, you could take off with a drone and the sun would stay in the same place and the drone would drift away from the operator. But that doesn't happen.
I just realized something about terrestrial refraction. Again.
Taking a question.
Yeah, I know. Right, but if light... This is a big if question. If light would all be bending around the presupposed globe into the flat plane, well, that means that all the light that you're seeing there would also be subjected to that bending, right? Including celestial bodies. So that would mean that the sun would be approaching, basically going over the Earth is turning underneath apparently, but it would slow down a lot the further away it goes, the further towards the horizon, because geometrically it should be way down, right? So if it's the geometry of the sun path or the Earth turning underneath it is geometrically a circle, then if terrestrial refraction would bend light into a curve, you would see that from all the lights that are geometrically going around the Earth.
Hold on, they claim you do. So the sun, when you see it setting, according to the globe Earth claim, this will be hard for some people to actually wrap their head around, but it's just in line with all the other refraction bullshit they claim. It's a not actual position, right? We all accept that the sun has a not actual position, an apparent position. Well, that apparent position that you see as it sets according to the globe Earth is something like 5 minutes behind the actual position of the sun because of refraction. So what you're seeing is a hologram of the sun as it goes down, because it's already gone down. You're just seeing the light being bent through, and it's not the light. That's the other thing you missed out, Arwin. It's the atmosphere. So they're presupposing that the atmosphere, to bend the light, is wrapped around the sphere. Therefore, the atmosphere is bending the light at the rate of 7/6 hour. That's why it's called terrestrial refraction.
Damn, so they actually already accounted for that concept. But they didn't probably account for the angular speed, which should be geometrically exact. But if light is also bending, warping the whole thing visually, then there should be inconsistency in the angular speed. Because of that.
Angular speed is going to be related to the physical size, and you don't have that in reality. But they would also get around it with the exact same thing. It's a not actual position and a not actual trajectory. So giving it or attributing an actual speed to it is how they get around that, Arwin.
No, but they can't, because the actual speed should be exact geometrically, right? There's no weird loopy motion going on out there in the supposed orbit of the Earth around the sun and all that. And the Earth spinning is supposedly consistent. So the geometry should be perfectly linear. The angular speed should be perfectly linear in the heliocentric geometric setup. But the visuals would all be bending it, causing it to not be perfectly geometrically consistent because the light bends it near the horizon. So there should be an inconsistent angular speed of the sun.
Yeah, and that's what they claim. That's exactly what they claim, Arwin.
But it isn't. The angular speed is very consistent.
I know, but that doesn't change the fact that they claim that at the horizon, when it's going down, you're seeing a hologram. That's what they claim. It's bullshit.
Yeah,
but that's
the
what they
angular
claim.
speed issue cannot be resolved with visual displacement. It's not about the position. It's about the actual, the geometrical speed, basically.
Adam.
That must be distorted as well, and it is not, because the angular speed visually remains consistent. So it's apparently not influenced by terrestrial refraction, even though it must be, because all light supposedly is.
It's not terrestrial refraction in that instance, it's stellar refraction.
Arwin, you're talking about
No, that doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. Well, I'm not saying it does work.
No, if the light is going to pass through the atmosphere, then it's going to be subjected by terrestrial refraction.
Hold on. No. Let me just explain. Arwin, come on. The reason they're separated, right, is because what are we detailing, right? We're detailing not actual size or angular size. Well, is that applicable when we're talking about curved Earth in terms of the terrestrial observations on the ground? Do they account for angular size with terrestrial fraction? No. So when you're dealing with the CERN, and you might need to mention angular sizes, you're going to need a different begging the question refraction, Arwin. Trust me.
I don't know. My thing is really a deep presuppositional nitpicky thing, but I think I'm kind of right about this.
You are right.
I've never heard them account for what I explained, even though, yeah, they have accounted a lot with their nonsense presuppositional mechanisms.
But they don't account for it, Arwin, do they? With both the sun and stars, all of those sizes and supposed sizes, at no point is refraction accounted for. If we look at Alpha Centauri, its massive size is based solely upon its apparent size and back calculated. There's no point where 7/6R, any bending, any magnification is ever applied. It's just a straightforward angular size application to give you its massive size at a massive distance.
Right, exactly. But that's about the size, the presuppositional system of how to interpret the heavenly bodies as objects. I'm talking specifically about the motion around in the sky, then approaching the horizon. If every visual, which would include starlight or sunlight passing through the air and all that, if that all would be bending, then there should be inconsistency in the angular speed of the heavenly rotations. That's all I'm saying. It should be there because it's
You're
going
not allowed
through
to take.
it's going through Terra. It's going through it.
We agree.
You're not allowed to take measurements below 10 degrees because they're subject to perversion within their model. So anything lower than 10 degrees above the horizon is not, even by their definition, measurable, is it?
What? Okay.
Yeah, it's applicable.
That's not my statement. That's their statement.
That's I tried to tie this earlier. At the horizon, it's stellar refraction, and you can't take those measurements, right? At the horizon. So when you get Neil deGrasse Tyson describing the hologram of the sun that's already disappeared in their model, that's why.
Okay. I guess they did really think about it and then encapsulate it.
Yeah.
No, but they didn't really think about it that well because Chocolate's points needs to be reiterated about when you're not on the Earth, the sun, the moon, and stars are still rotating.
You can't not be on the
I
Earth.
just don't understand how it
You
works.
can't say the same, Arwin. Who's not been not on the Earth?
Hot air balloon, drone, aeroplane,
no example
helicopter.
of it.
That's still in the Earth realm, though.
No, it's
Well, they
not
have
on-
that covered though with the atmosphere being lockstep to the Earth. That's how they cover that one.
No.
Is that yours?
They don't cover.
No, that's
anything
not what they
that
say.
way.
No. Let's just get this clear. No, that's what they say in the trenches. That's what they say here to get around the fact that they don't have 15 degrees an hour deviation. You can't have Earth and atmosphere attached and achieve 15 degrees an hour deviation. They must be separate reference frames to have 15 degrees an hour. Now, the fact that they don't have 15 degrees an hour, which is Chocolate's point, you don't see from a drone cam the sun tracking with the drone as it drifts away from you. Seems to drift, it's actually you turning underneath the drone, according to them. It's seeming to drift away at 15 degrees an hour, according to them. But when we point out that simply doesn't happen, and if it did, it would shorten flight times, the fundies in the trenches defend the lack of 15 degrees an hour by saying Earth and atmosphere travel as one. So they beg the question that Earth's spinning and justify the lack of proof in the form of a 15 degrees an hour deviation by saying they're tracking together. So we won't get 15 degrees an hour deviation, the very thing that's supposed to prove we spin.
No, you're 100% right. I'm just saying that's what they'll say about the Chocolate, about how come when he's in an airplane, the sun and the sky is still moving and the Earth is not. That's what they say.
So then when they do that, then they're in trouble again because they're lying again. And there is no more talk about any Coriolis for a bullet or anything. So why do they still keep talking about Coriolis?
Because it's the rhetoric.
Because they have to.
It's the priest from the priesthood. We have Coriolis. That's what's declared in the actual rhetoric of a globe Earth. We have 15 degrees an hour deviation because the Earth's rotating underneath. That's the claim. When you point out that they don't have it, an example how they don't have it, they go, well, we wouldn't expect to see deviation in an aeroplane. It's travelling along with the atmosphere that's travelling along with an Earth that I assume is spinning. That's their answer. So what, no 15 degrees an hour then? Like supposed to be proving your Earth spinning? Just a quick shout out to MC Universe Sacred Truth Keeper, who says, due to war picture. I think that was part of a conversation that was long gone. But thank you for the super chat.
What I would say, going off of what Arwen was saying earlier, or something that I was thinking about when he said that was, if light is supposed to be bending around the curve of a supposed globe Earth due to the atmosphere, then how come the sun can have a terminator line to go down behind the solid horizon? The sun even should still be coming up over the horizon. The sunlight should be still coming up over, even after it's gone, we should be still seeing the sunlight. We should still be in total brightness.
Yes,
if
exactly.
the sun is,
yeah, it would just seem to go away in the distance, but slowly, because it should be geometrically going in a circle round, but the terrestrial refraction makes it all look flat, so it should make the sun...
Yeah, we should have a lot more daylight. Even when the sun has gone out of view, we should have a lot more daylight if the light is bending around the curve. Unless it only bends down and not back up the way. Because there's an out and up when they want there to be on their model. Do you understand what I mean?
No, none of this. I've tried this twice now. No. If you're looking at stuff in the sky, you're not applying terrestrial refraction. That's not how they do it.
But I'm speaking about the light of the sun, not the sun itself. If the sun has gone down behind the supposed solid curve, then we should still have daylight if light has been bent around that.
You're correct. You're correct. However, if this argument was ever posed, you'd be in a domain that wouldn't be applicable in terms of 7/6R. That's just not going to. It's just not going to fly if you try and pose that to a globe head. You're right. I agree. In their world, they've got light bending around the Earth. Therefore, once the light comes in, it's going to be affected by the same thing, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It doesn't matter if it's sunlight or you observing a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, claim to be blocking something in the distance that's there and you shouldn't see it. Therefore, it's been bent back because the atmosphere's bent and the light's being bent at the rate of the radius that can't be measured and only exists in the maths. Well, according to their rhetoric, that should also be applicable to the light coming in from the sun. It won't be, though. So I'm just telling you how it is.
So convoluted cluster screw.
We move on.
Is it everything?
Yeah, but it's very logical though, because they were setting out to basically prove their ball. So the whole thing is just set up of all kinds of warped excuses to just answer a question quickly and then move on to keep the presuppositional dream going. But yeah, when you all draw out the consequences of every weird little assertion that they make part of their entire structure, and you draw the natural consequences, then you constantly bump into this kind of weird, surreal situation that you just try to make excuses for why it's not the case.
That's why the black
problem is nobody thinks about it.
That's why the black swan is number one.
Yeah, none of the web lies. None of the Weber lies will ever line up. So where they've got an excuse for example, the lack of perspective, as we were detailing at the beginning of the live show with Flatsoid's videos. Thank you very much indeed to Flatsoid. I'll share that video actually in the live stream chat now. I've actually got people in there. So go and check out Flatsoid's videos, subscribe today. But the perspective aspect, the reason there's no perspective in the Earth curve maths, answer from a globe head, well, because it's a geometric model. Now, bearing in mind, we've had an argument earlier about how we can't achieve geometry that don't have tangent lines. That's the current rebuttal to the black swan. But their former response to why we don't have angular size reduction over distance in the geometric maths is because it's not required in a geometric model, right? But does that line up with the not actual sizes of the sun when they're detailing them in angular size and extrapolating out astronomical distances? No, that's a separate issue, according to a fundy, because none of the stuff lines up. It's all nonsense.
Yeah, because the object never changes size, remember?
Yeah, in a geometric model. just to give clarity to the audience what we're talking about, when you turn your world side on and show the side of your own head in orthographic view, and then draw a line, that would be a tangent, between you and a target, and claim that the target in the distance at a given feet or meters value will have a certain amount of feet or meters missing at the bottom, well, that feet and inches value does not change with distance. Doesn't matter if you're looking at the observation at 30 miles or 3 miles, they'll ask you why there's 5 feet missing or 10 feet missing, ignoring the fact that angular size, not actual size, how big it appears in the picture, changes given with the distance that you're observing it at. So it looks smaller, but they'll ask you how many feet and inches are missing, because in their model, they'll show you the side of your own head, and that removes all aspects of perspective. And the justification when we pointed that out 3 years ago was, well, it's geometric. And then we go, well, okay, then you'll definitely need a tangent to your physical sphere edge then, won't you, for your geometry? And then we're told we won't expect to be seeing the geometric horizon. That only exists in the maths. Well, what is the geometric horizon that we see in this side-on Muppet view that ignores perspective? Well, that's Earth curve. It's what they claim your horizon is.
That is kind of funny, though, right?
I have more nonsense to add.
They used to say all the time, "Oh, it's geometric. It's geometric." You dumb flat earthers. Now look at them running in the other direction from their geometry. This is too funny.
Go ahead, Brian. What's the extra nonsense?
Yeah, permission just to add one more bit of nonsense. According to their nonsense, if we have a full moon, then we should have like a phenomenal amount of light on the day after the full moon. We should have like super bright light, because the light from the moon should be refracted up to us, as well as the sunlight of the daytime. So around that time, we should have a lot of crazy super light going on and no dark. Sorry.
It should be super light all the time. I thought that the original statement that it was much better. No, there should be much more supposed daylight, even though it's not even caused by the sun. It should be around because it's constantly bending around. Now, if it can shine on the moon surface, that's going to reflect back. Well, why doesn't it then constantly shine around the globe into the supposed night region? Thanks to terrestrial refraction. But that doesn't happen.
I'm sure they have an answer.
Probably not.
But light doesn't bend.
That's Owen. That's the point you raised there is something that Jerem smashed on a few years ago in terms of the inverse square law and lumens. And so when I get home, I'm on my way back to the airport now. But you just hit me with a bit of maths that's worth calculating. Are the lumen rates, according to the inverse square law, when they reach the Earth directly from the sun, is the reduction in the lumen rate and the inverse square reduction equivalent, so that the amount when it hits the moon and then has to travel the 250,000 miles back, are the lumen rates equivalent based on the inverse square law, or is there a differential? I think that's something that's worth maybe checking out mathematically. Because if there is a disparity between the two, why? Because the inverse square law is correct. So that leaves only the mathematics of distance to conclude incorrect if you don't get a match. Does that make sense?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it would conclude that their model's wrong.
We just can give them some more things to deny.
Conclude that already.
Say again, Flat.
I'll look at that.
There was something I wanted you to calculate for me, actually, Adam, while we're talking about doing maths. You've done it for me once before, so hopefully you can dig out the maths for it. But I wanted to know, in a 10 to the minus 4 vacuum, what would be an area that would have literally nothing in it? What would be like the... you could say this given amount of area has literally got nothing in it. I'm not asking you to pluck that out your ass right this second.
Well, top of my head, I can do it roughly, which will be subject to ridicule by a baller, but it'll be approximately correct. I think as we did it, when you go from out into the vacuum of space as purported, you end up and this is why the minus torrs and the magnitudes, you end up with one molecule per cubic kilometer, don't you? Somewhere around there is the bit that sticks in my head. But I will firm up the numbers, Nathan, as you move from registered atmosphere to what they call it and the differential. But it's that, and that's the point that Q always surmounts. It's not that slight movement of 1 decimal place implies a magnitude of 10 times the volume. So instead of having, as it's described in the torr, the torr value is 1 molecule per cubic meter, you end up having to share 1 molecule, and the figures come out with like 1/10 of a molecule per cubic meter, and it starts to get to the farcical as you then expand. But I will do it now if it's. But as I remember, it's about 1 per cubic kilometer.
That's the kind of the vaguity that I wanted, though, because I do know, I remember you doing the math, so I know that your rough vague number isn't just you plucking out the air. You have actually done the maths once, you just don't have it in front of you. But yeah, I just want to give the audience some sort of qualification for what the torr values actually mean, basically. And I think if you can dilute it, bring clarity to it with that sort of maths, that would be useful, I think, to people who just maybe not understand what is described. And as you correctly identify, each time you move to the 10 to the minus 17 torr is so many orders of magnitude more than we can even achieve here. But what does that mean to an audience member? Not a great deal for a lot of them. But if you can qualify it, hopefully not now, but we already have vaguely, but you know what I mean, just so we can go maybe do a show on it and just say this is what we mean when we talk about vacuums, because there is some confusion about it.
Yeah, no worries. I've got it in the notebook, mate, along with the impossibilities of the first law of thermodynamics when you go up in a helicopter and you keep the same tangential speed even though you're increasing your radius. It's in those figures of funny maths that I collect. So yeah, as soon as I get back, mate, I'll send you that, because I have done the calculation, and like I said, the odd bit is you end up trying to dilute molecules, for it to make any sense. You've got 1/10 of a molecule, 1,000th of a molecule in the same space. So with regards to the torrs, you end up having to magnify or change the way in which you describe the units, because up until that point you describe it as number of molecules per cubic meter. But once you then get into space, as we would define, or they would define it, you end up not being able to use meters cubed, or you're not able to use molecules, because neither are sensical anymore. So you end up having to change the units because of the 10 to the minus 15 torr, 10 to the minus 16. That's such a magnitudinal change. You end up having to change some of the units. So if you want to keep it as molecules, you have to change from meters cubed to kilometers cubed, or 100 meters cubed in this case. So yeah, I'll get you that, mate.
Thank you. And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. And a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ Live panels for making today's shows possible. Be sure to stay tuned if you are watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Hydrogen and helium both come from Greek. Hydrogen means maker of water, and helium means of the sun, as it's connected to the word Helios, which is the Greek god of the sun. Now, that's pretty funny, because what we're given is always the opposite from what often is the truth, where the hydrogen is what the sun is supposed to be made of, and helium is nothing to do with anything. You know, they don't because what they say about it is that helium and they say that they can't say we're losing hydrogen because hydrogen is in water, so they can't say we're losing hydrogen. But what they say is that helium, we're running out of helium because it's all been going off out into outer space. But then they turn around and say, this is comical. They say that the most abundant element in the whole universe, that means space to them, is hydrogen. And the second most abundant element in the whole universe is helium. Now, when they're talking about universe, they're speaking about a vacuum. So how can you have an abundance of anything in a vacuum, number one? And number two, how did they ever find this out? Now, I looked into, we know that they never found it out, that it's nonsense. But if you ask them that, they can't give you any answers. Because I looked into what is the coldest part and the hottest part of our supposed atmosphere. The coldest part is in the mesosphere, and it gets down to minus 90 degrees Celsius. And the hottest part is in the thermosphere, which is above that, and it gets up to over 2,000 degrees, plus 2,000 degrees Celsius. The thing about it is that when you try and find out how they came to these numbers, first of all, they have to tell you that you wouldn't feel it, right? Because there's not enough molecules at those particular supposed parts of our atmosphere for them to ever use a thermometer. Now, a thermometer works because of the air molecules or gas molecules that have been heated, and because of an interaction with the sun, that heat passes through the glass tube and into the mercury, and the heat causes the mercury to expand because it breaks bonds within mercury. Or if it's cold, the bonds come back together and it deflates or whatever. The thing about it is that they could never. I looked and they can't come up with, like, there's no explanation as to how they came up with these supposed numbers. They have absolutely nothing. So what about if they're actually telling the truth, or half the truth is what I mean? What about if there is a multitude of hydrogen and helium up high, but obviously it has to be contained? So what is the natural use of these up high? There has to be a natural use. They have to fit in. Nature, the world, the creator didn't create anything if it didn't have a purpose.
But that means there'll be more. That means there'll be more pressure higher up.
Well,
creating more energy.
Not really, because there isn't a huge amount in volumes of these gases. But if
you do know that hydrogen and helium are lighter than
just
air.
speak on those two gases, Brian. Just for a second.
Yeah.
We often think of hydrogen and helium as very, very light molecules, but we have to, considering the model that we use of standard chemistry, then we were talking about orders of magnitude earlier. Well, as far as I can see, hydrogen relative to helium is an order of magnitude of half the density of helium, because a helium molecule has got 2 protons, 2 electrons. It's balanced, it's a noble gas, it's got a full electron outer shell, so it's happy, it's inert, it doesn't react with anything. But a hydrogen molecule, to become stable, has to become diatomic. So 2 of them are required to work together to create the stability of electron balance, which, when you talk about orders of magnitude, it's double the space it takes. So when we talk about QE and with some of his proofs, that top layer of the atmosphere, realistically, the differential between those 2 gases should be massive, because it's an order of magnitude of 1. Yeah, one's 1 and one's 10. It's twice as dense, or half as dense from the other molecule's perspective. So even though we think they're both really, really light molecules, actually when you apply the 2 together and try to stick it in a density gradient, one's double the density of the other, because it takes up twice the space, the hydrogen molecule, to contain between the diatomic molecule, it takes up twice the space to contain 2 protons and 2 electrons. Whereas the helium is all compacted into a dense nucleus with the 2 protons in it and then it's 2 electrons orbiting in its first outer shell. So actually, from orders of magnitude, they shouldn't even be close. They should separate quite easily and distinguishable.
That's another thing I was going to... Go on, Franz, I'll talk in a second.
That's how I was saying, then with those temperatures, there should be more pressure higher up there. So that means that temperatures aren't right.
It's only really going to separate if it is able to, you know? If it is constantly moving, then it's not really going to separate. It's just going to prefer a certain direction in relation to the rest, and it's going to be mixed always.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to use as... Do you want to say something, Nathan?
I was just going to say, Owen's right. We've got a mixture of gases in a dynamic system. Lots of dynamic systems all going on at once, so it all mixes up. But at the bottom line, Adam's absolutely correct. One is twice as dense as the other. It's the bottom line, right, Adam?
Yeah. From my opinion, as I've kind of pondered my understanding of chemistry and the likes, and we've discussed these things, it's one of those things that's, you know, we're quite happy to say, oh yeah, we can get a gradient because of X and Y, but actually, there should be a huge differential between those two gases. They should separate quite distinctly. It's probably, I'll do a little bit more work on it and get some numbers for some of the other gases like nitrogen and their relative densities and the likes. But between those two, it's an order of magnitude of 1. There is a decimal place between the two of them, you know, times 10. Well, simply, so yeah.
Well, what I was going to say...
Sorry, can I I'll keep it short, but if you would conclude from that the absolute top layer, which would be against the dome or the end of the container, whatever it may be, would inevitably have to be pure hydrogen.
No, we don't have layers.
No, I'm just saying the gas molecules pushing at the very top of the container should naturally be hydrogen because they are so much less dense.
Bounce back down.
Yes, Owen, but only if you assume that the causation for the way in which the atmosphere stratifies is through relative density, then that would say to you there has to be one of the most abundant molecules in the universe, in debris, yeah, then it should be lots of it sat at the top because it's half the density of the next most dense molecule next to it. So it should be well separated from anything else. Yeah, right. That, as we said, isn't the case. At worst, we get an even mixture of hydrogen and helium, which modern science uses to pretend that's what the sun's made of through spectroscopy.
Yeah.
Right, but we don't have a stratified atmosphere, do we?
In other words, the electric's bullshit.
We haven't got this calm, perfect setting with a tube and 2 gases in. So will we ever see that in our atmosphere? Quote unquote atmosphere. Oxymoron. Hey QE, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. Because of the dynamic system, it's always going to be mixed up. But if you would have such a thing in a perfectly closed up, a container, a gas tank, then it would eventually separate it if it was kept perfectly motionless. But besides relative density, I think there's other influences too, you know. It's almost inevitable. There's electricity around, especially higher up. So does that have some transmutative effect maybe on these super light gases way up there?
Well,
it almost should be, otherwise it would constantly be building up and more and more and more over the ages.
Well, my point being is that we don't actually know. I just want to make a couple of points here. Number one, we don't actually know what is going on up in vibration. Sorry,
Adam. I don't know if Adam.
Sorry, did you? I was going to say energy. Yeah, so I'm struggling there a bit, Nathan, because the satellite, which is on top of the Mayella Mountain, keeps getting interrupted because of hills. And I've not got a direct line to space. So if I keep cutting out, you have to apologise.
Satellite hiding behind the hills.
Reception. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if the only thing is that with a noble gas, the addition of energy creates a fluorescence doesn't it? Hence, light blue skies when the sun's not even there.
Oh God, please don't speculate. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts.
What I was trying.
Hold on,
Brian.
Hold on. I've got to nip that in the bud. So, have you actually got? Is that something that you've ever clarified or got experience of in the sky, not on a small scale, Adam?
Yeah.
How have you got that? How have you acquired that?
You mean not in a chip shop sign saying open or?
No, in the sky.
No.
But just speculation then.
Reception's waning. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Not in the sky is all I can say if you can hear me, and I'll mute.
It might be. I'm not saying you're wrong. It might be. It might be. It's just speculation, though. None of us know. And that was the other thing. We started this conversation talking about all these different layers, you know, the stratosphere, etc. Well, how have we got any of this information? Who's gone up there, and where is up there? How high is up in this regard?
But that's where I tried to go with it. This is where I'm trying to go. I've been trying to say.
I'm sorry.
Who's that now? Is that?
Hold on a second, Brian.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Brian, perfectly. Just one second,
we're
though.
just trumping you.
Go on, Neil. Go on.
Sorry, I didn't hear him. I'm saying the people that tell us that, they don't operate on the really is level. And we should always operate on the really is level.
But I'm questioning what, in literal terms, you know, other than watching the right stuff and the pre-NASA exploration of the sky, and how much legitimacy you give to that is up for question also. What is up? What is the sky? We've got none of the answers, but we've all got this base conception of these layers that are described to us and what's going on in them. But has anybody actually been there? Where is there? What is there?
You see, that's where it becomes a problem when you make a claim about it.
I agree.
I've been researching into it, to what they say, and the point I'm trying to make is we don't know what's going on up on the highest parts of our sky. The numbers we get for, let's just say, they say we have less than 1% of our. They actually say that less than 1% of our gases in our atmosphere, I know it's an oxymoron, less than 1% is hydrogen, and less again than that is helium. Now, the thing about it is that these supposed calculations are coming from a belief. Not only do they have the belief that we have a vacuum outside, that there's no barrier between, but there's also a belief that we have this atmosphere that stretches up over 6,000 miles into what they call the exosphere. So they have all this belief. So we're getting all this information from people with a belief. Now, we know that can't be the case. We know that helium and hydrogen go up. We don't know exactly how much of it is there, but it has to be used for something. There has to be a use for it. Is it possible that it's getting cycled up high somehow? Because it's not being used down here.
Yeah, but quite possibly.
Hydrogen is in water, but not as a gas.
Yeah, you're right, but that's just yet another speculation. Yes, there could quite feasibly, very speculative, be some sort of helium cycle up high that we're completely unaware of, doing something that we're completely unaware of, but subject to. Now, we don't know. That's the bottom line. Yeah, you can speculate all day. And is it going to be dynamic up there? We don't know that either. Could there be a stratified layer of helium? Might be. I don't know. None of us do.
Nathan, the one thing it isn't is calculated on a dynamic system. I was just wondering what Brian said there, and I suppose mostly only maybe we're at the point where we have these assumptions and calculations being made, where once we get past the levels of 100,000 foot, whatever, actually they're calculated based on the way in which separation due to escape velocity, which is the only way that their model allows a hydrogen and helium to be so high, is because it's light enough to continue with enough velocity to escape the force of gravity. Now, obviously, that doesn't need attacking. But if you understand, these things aren't being measured. They're not being stated to us as measurements. So how, given that the only way they purport these physics to us is by calculation and supposition, maybe that's the only reason they're stating that actually up there, that's what the admixture of gases is. It's not calculated. It's not measured. It's calculated. So maybe even that is presuppositional. We might have a similar admixture of all of the gases that we have lower down, yet at lower density, because there's slightly less of it. It's more spread, but the actual relative components are equivalent.
Right, maybe. But number one, maybe. All I want to detail there, and by there I mean the globe, heliocentric assertion, sky vacuum with escape velocity helium, as you've just detailed. None of that's relevant anymore. Literally none of it. So when we can sieve through it and go, well, how many half-truths are in this then? But personally, you're like, when you're saying maybe it's nonsense, I threw all of it out ages ago. Like almost immediately, or everything about the sky is nonsense then. Literally all of it. Can't trust any of it.
Unless it's measured. And we've got measurements with folks up to, 110,000 feet.
Sorry.
That,
yeah, hold on. How many? Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. How many feet? How many 100,000 feet did you say?
110 is what I've seen.
And Brian, how high did you say how high did you say the mesospheres claim to be?
The exosphere is 6,200 miles up, supposedly.
So we've got how much percentage of that, do you reckon, Adam? Off the top of your head.
Was that 600,000 feet that Brian said? I suppose that's a factor of six, isn't it?
6,200 miles. Adam.
200 miles. What's that in feet, right?
No, 6,200 miles. I don't know what feet, but it's over 6,000 miles.
Over 6,000.
32 million.
I'm driving.
I've got it.
Somebody do that.
I've got it.
That's magnitudes of about 4, isn't it?
It's 32,736,000 feet.
7 million.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, 300.
7 million.
So what my point is, it's a bit like measuring to the centre of the presupposed spherical Earth, isn't it? We've dug 8 miles, 70. But the rest is just extrapolation or mathematics.
Exactly.
P waves and S waves.
But in this case, we've got nothing. We've got up a bit in a balloon compared to what they're saying it is. It's nothing. But we don't know how far up would be by comparison.
How have they got that?
I think they did send pretty good weather balloons up there.
Hold on, we all lost the plot. They've got this little department. It's only small. It's called NASA. They give us all this shit about the sky.
Well, didn't they officially send a weather balloon to?
Maybe they sent a weather balloon. They're claiming to send stuff to the space bit. Hello, we all lost the plot. Yeah, but so rarely we talk about NASA that we're like, oh yeah, where have we got all this bullshit about this place, this heaven that they claim? Well, we got it all from NASA, didn't we? It's all from JPL.
NASA, they wouldn't lie. Come on, Nathan, they wouldn't lie.
Yeah, they wouldn't lie. They're just telling us what heaven is.
Well, I mean, most of this. When I look for the helium cycle, the natural helium cycle, I got absolutely nothing. They talked about stuff inside in stars that are 100 billion light years away, and they talked about stuff in nuclear reactors. When I look for the hydrogen, the natural hydrogen gas cycle, they start basically gave me a lighter version of the hydrological cycle. So there's absolutely no basic information. There's no basic information there.
Oh, come on.
Any of the cycles.
That's not true. Did you not get the beautiful story about how we all came to be? About how we were all born in the heart of a star? Did you not get that story from that?
We're all really complicated rocks.
No. We were all born, you and every part of you, Arwin, was born in a star.
Stardusting.
That's right,
yeah,
supernova.
I like complicated rocks more.
Yeah, all of those elements were fused in the heart of a dying star. Many of those very heavy elements could only have been formed at that supernova stage and then blasted out into the oblivion of the universe to eventually become A little bit of you. So technically, Arwin, you're just a little star.
No, that's only the
Nathan,
metal components of
They
me.
found proof of this
Rock
in the
has
ocean.
formed.
In the ocean, you say? Proof
I
of
read
the
it the other
supernova
day,
dying
don't
stars
you
millions of
remember?
years
They
ago in the
found
ocean. Wow.
But hold on,
Yeah, I do have
rocks
a-
didn't form. Rocks didn't form from suns. It's only the metals and all that supposed to.
I do have a
What's Neil
serious
saying? What's Neil saying?
I
Neil's
do
going
have
to
a
say
serious
something.
question.
Yeah, that's the essence of everything, Arwin.
I read it the other day. They found evidence
I do-
in the ocean of what happened. All star
I do have a
dusting.
serious. Hold on, I do have a serious question. This is probably directed more towards Adam since he's the chemist on the panel. Would electricity, like lightning striking water, like out in the ocean, would that break up oxygen and hydrogen, creating, letting free hydrogen go loose? Would that happen?
No, not at all.
No, that's a chemical reaction you're describing, as opposed
yeah.
to a phase change.
You might be able to do it on a individual molecule level by injecting that much energy, but it wouldn't cause a natural cleavage and separation because of entropy. It's more favorable for those molecules to align with H2O as opposed to H and O. So no, you may be able to separate the two with a huge amount of energy, but entropy, whenever those two molecules meet, would want to cause it to become H2O. It's a much lower energy state for both atoms three atoms to sit in.
The entropy descriptions, the intermolecular bonds that are being broken to change this, to cause a phase change from liquid to gas, as opposed to changing the intramolecular structure.
Yeah. So if you were to combining hydrogen and oxygen is an exothermic reaction, you will get energy emitted. To re-split those things requires an input of energy, and once you've inputted it sufficient to split them, those molecules, because of entropy, still would much sooner sit in a lower energy state as water. That's a much lower energy entropic state, higher entropic state, excuse me, than the molecules separate to themselves.
One of my favourite words, exothermic. It makes me smile every time I hear it. It means it gets hot. That's what it means.
It's hot, baby.
That's what it means.
Exothermic reaction.
All right, watch out for that coffee. Hold on. Watch out for that coffee
giving
cup.
out energy.
I'm going to make my gag.
Yeah,
Watch out for that coffee cup.
Sorry.
It's exothermic.
Exothermically imbued, no less.
Ooh.
Sorry, Adam. Hold on, Brian. Sorry, Adam's got a point to make. I've completely ruined it. Sorry, go ahead, Adam. Just round out your point. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that is pretty simple. It's much more favourable for the molecules to sit like that. They have a much lower energy state, given, as demonstrated by the fact that it is an exothermic reaction. So between those two molecules, the hydrogen and the oxygen, if you combine the two, there's excess energy. Those molecules had a lot more energy when they were oxygen and hydrogen. When you put them and combine them as water, that excess energy that's no longer required in terms of the intramolecular bonds has to go somewhere. And in most cases, it's given out as heat. Sometimes light, if it's very rapid, but in this case, you get a hot coffee cup. Yeah. So that's the point. For you to then try and turn them back into hydrogen and oxygen requires a lot of energy, and that energy to be stored within the intramolecular bonds of the diatomic hydrogen and the diatomic oxygen, which is not a great low energy state, because that's why oxygen is so combustible. As stable as it is with two double covalent bonds, it's not actually that favorable energetically, hence why oxygen is so combustible. That's why it will react with anything. That makes sense?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
You want to add something, Brian? Sorry to cut you off. Just wanted Adam to round out his point. Thank you, Adam.
Oh, no worries, no hassles, no. I have to go now anyway, but I'm going to say something else, and it could be a stupid thing, or it could have relevance. According to what I can find online, and I've read... Sorry, someone say something, Aidan?
No.
According to what I read online, and I read several different sources for this, so it wasn't just one source. Hydrogen, when burned, creates water, or turns to water. If that's true, Adam, could the sun be burning hydrogen and turning it into water? Is that possible?
The term burning is a bastardization of the correct term, which is combustion. Now, combustion is to react with oxygen. So to combust something, you need oxygen. Now, by their narrative, there is, you say oxygen's only formed at the heart of a supernova, and it spits these heavier molecules out, which then maybe aggregate around a star or a planet, etc., etc. So, no, by their narrative, there can be very little oxygen formed within there because it requires fission, doesn't it, to start the formation of a multi-nucleotide nucleus, a multi-proton-based nucleus. So it's not a possibility when you've only got hydrogen and helium to allow the formation of oxygen for it to then combust. Yeah, helium can offer it. You think go through the other molecules that you have to get to in terms of number of protons and neutrons within the to get to oxygen. You've got hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, and then oxygen before you can have a combustion or burning reaction, as you described. So it's bollocks, yeah, it's not.
Okay, just no, because I was thinking about the Hill reaction. I know that I don't know much about that, but I remember QE speaking about how that involves the sun and water. And that's where I was thinking with it. But it was just speculation. Thanks for answering. I'm going to go. I'll talk to you later.
See you later, Brian. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
See you, Brian.
See you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye.
That was fun.
This is what happens, Nathan. I went for a long lunch because I thought I'll drink a litre of wine during my lunch so I can have a snooze on the way to the airport. And then I get quizzed on chemistry.
It's been very concise, I might say.
That's funny.
Vacation's over again, Adam.
You what, bro?
Those are all the ballers.
I said vacation is over again.
Yeah, I'm on my way back now, so I should be back for sort of midnight tonight. I think we fly about 9 o'clock Amsterdam time.
Right.
So same as Italy time and Amsterdam time. So
how's the weather there?
Oh, it's so hot. What temperature are we on now, Marie? 35. 35 at the moment. So I noticed that I was talking last night, Arwen. I says it must be cold back in the UK because I've been watching the Flat Earth Early Bird and Arwen's gone from moobs out to t-shirt, and then yesterday I saw him with his black jumper back on. So
yeah,
it must be chilling down.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the summer's definitely over here.
No, it doesn't work like that. You'll get more hot periods, right, before, as you could put it, summer comes. It comes in waves. So, I'm not going to... I'm going to round out this after show soon, so I'm not going to get into the details.
Is that P waves?
Not P waves.
No.
It's cyclical. It's cyclical. And you can monitor it based on where the moon is. If you try and track how hot it will be, there's a lot of cause behind detaching us from the actual events in the sky, as we've been discussing it for the show. And there's certain patterns that if you're not paying attention to calendars and weather reports, you can just get a general idea about what the patterns of the weathers will be. And they are very much cyclical within the month, within a lunar cycle. Yeah, you get a similar cycle that's described throughout the seasons, i.e. most people's understanding, so that it goes up and down with the seasons. Well, that cycle, you have within that cycle, within the lunar cycle, another cycle that happens that you can observe. So you won't just get a hot summer. If you do get a hot summer, what you're seeming to describe, they call it heat wave. In other words, if you get a prolonged period that's above the general average of that particular month, then they'll call it heat wave, i.e. day after day after day after day being hot. Now, you don't often get that. That's uncommon. But it doesn't mean that you don't get hot days in summer. They just come cyclically. Now, most people don't notice. They're just like, oh, it's a good day today. It's like, yeah, coincidentally lining up with the last cyclical nice day that you had about 3.5 weeks ago, just by coincidence. Well, it'll rise and fall throughout the season, and then past the equinox, it'll drop off steeply, and then it'll do the same through the winter seasons. It was Stephen Chess was the one who actually pointed this out to me after paying attention to it for about 2 straight years and documenting him paying attention to it. But yeah, it's one of those people just go, oh, summer's over because it's raining. Well, it's raining here now. Do I think there won't be another hot day? There will be. There'll be some excellent days. Beach-worthy days in this country will come between now and when it all steeply drops off and gets cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. The odd thing for me there is when
I am, that means nothing. I got rain and heat all the time. Combination of it during my summer. So that because it rains, summer's ending. That sounds silly to me. But
Chocolate,
then again,
what was the weather like yesterday? Was it hot? What's it going to be like tomorrow?
Hot.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's not much of a cycle, bro, is it? It's just,
I come from New York where I've dealt with like 7 feet of snow in like January or February, right? But here, it's like a little bit of rain. It might be, I don't know, 50 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever at most, or at least, I should say. I mean, it's such a difference being that just a few states away, and it's such a drastic difference, man.
I think with what Nathan's saying, it's cyclical, and part of the corruption and the reprogramming we have is to accept these Julian or Gregorian calendars that we work by, as if June, July, August means something. As Nathan alluded to earlier, it's that overlap of the solar cycle and the lunar cycle to me that indicates something. Within those phases, there clearly is knowledge that we've lost, in my opinion. But the point being that in April, when my kids were, best part of 10 years ago, 8 years ago, we were in April, and I had 30 odd degrees in Nottingham in April. Well, that via the heliocentric Bohr model isn't achievable. That closeness between the Earth and the Sun isn't. I know it's contradictory anyway between summer and winter in the northern hemisphere, but that isn't. There's no correlation you could even line up between that. Yet, if you start to look at those cyclical patterns and the overlay of alignment between the two, then was it Stephen Christ did that thing? Yeah.
Stephen Chess, not Stephen Christ.
Stephen Chess. Sorry, I just had that one in me. I don't know. Sorry. But
yeah, one is very calm and well measured. The other.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to make a joke. Go on. Sorry.
No, there is nothing I would profess, but clearly there is something there, and it's been noted. And like I said, more importantly for me, the removal from the psyche of those lunar cycles and how they regulate us when it's time to plant, when it's time to sow, you know what I mean, and when it's time to harvest. That used to be knowledge, historical knowledge, and the overlay of 10 months, then 12 months, to try and mask what to me is quite an important thing. And that long cycle where it takes, I can't remember how many years it is between the sun and the moon to realign, but that long cycle must have, if you look at when we were kids, there's the summer of the 70s, which was ridiculous, the drought, and these things become cyclical as well. It's not just a yearly pattern, it's a much larger centennial pattern as well that is due to the alignment or the misalignment of solar and lunar cycles.
Absolutely spot on. What do they call it? You say months? Moons?
Exactly.
Moons? Like moon?
Yeah.
Yeah? Moons.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the lunar cycles are critical if you're paying attention to things like whether or not you can plant your seeds, whether or not you'll be able to work that day. Those things, as Adam rightly points out, are all lost to us with our digital calendars and our Gregorian calendar. That, we just don't have that anymore. We're paying attention to what the weatherman says and what the date is, what I'll be doing next Tuesday, an arbitrary construct that we've aligned with these 7 days and these months. That's all arbitrary, completely arbitrary. Yet we have these massive cyclical bodies that are repeating constantly in the sky, over and over again, doing the same patterns. And I'll nick it's actually a Brian Cox analogy. But if you imagine a sine wave, yeah, well, the sine wave one cycle would represent the summer and winter, with the middle points being autumn, etc. So you've got that cycle, and then if you imagine travelling along that cycle, you've got the lunar cycles as another oscillating cycle moving along it. So to visualize it, imagine it, you're walking along a curved path that goes up once and down once. That's you walking along the beach with a dog. So you're walking along up towards the beach and then back up towards the top of the shoreline where the road is, and then back towards the middle. That's one full cycle. And that would be the cycle of the sun, if you will. So you watching it low on the horizon through winter and then performing its vector for me in the UK in the summer. Well, that's one cycle. Well, if the guy's got a dog following behind him, and every couple of feet the dog walks up and down, up and down, up and down behind him, also creating like a wave behind the man walking the dog, you've obviously got, if you follow the dog, equivalent to the moon, the dog's moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in his own little cycle behind the path of the man walking the dog on the seasonal cycle. So you've got these cycles within cycles. Now, no one's going to challenge me on that. It's blatantly obvious. You only got to look up. You can see it happen. So no one's going to challenge me on this. It's just a fact. That's what we observe. The reality is we're not observing it. Nobody's actually looking. And what I mean by that is when something weird happens with the moon, and I'm always looking at it, it's something that's just ingrained into me from a kid. I don't know why I'm fascinated. But for example, the moon changes to a very strange colour one day. Happens quite frequently. I look at it and go, wow. And I'll stand there in the parking lot of a shop and just stare at it. And people walk past me like I'm nuts. And occasionally they'll look at me in such a way that I'll have to say, I'm looking at the moon. Check it out. And they'll glance for half a second and go, oh, whatever, and move on with their day. Now, is that person paying attention to the lunar cycles? Of course not. Now, I'm saying that this stuff that seems so revelationary, or if that's a word, will go, all right, yeah, no, I'm not really paying attention to the moon and what it's doing. But I know what day it is. Well, what's a day?
The best part is those are the people that'll try to tell you what's what with the moon. Right? If you were to try to tell them something like, oh, we don't know that that's a sphere, they'd be like, are you crazy? Meanwhile, they don't pay any attention to this shit. That's what I find a lot. The people who love this stuff, they don't pay it any mind. The NASA fanboys, they don't watch NASA. The SpaceX fanboys, they don't watch that.
They just want to dream.
Yeah, it is. Because once, and it's a perfect example, because one guy, I had him, he was such a fan, and I had him start watching that shit, and he started finding things that just didn't make sense to him. I'm like, yeah, because you never paid any mind. You just said, oh yeah, it's great, I love it. But you don't pay attention to any of that shit. Same thing with the sky, just like Nathan is saying. People don't look at the sky. I have to tell people, look up.
Right.
They just look at me like, oh, that's weird. I have a phone. I want to look at my phone.
Right. Hey, Nathan, talking about the lunar cycle, right? So do you know how much a single lunar cycle is?
What, in days?
Yeah.
Like 28 days?
Yeah,
28.1
exactly.
or something? 28.2? I can't remember the exact decimal place.
So, how many days is there in a standard year?
365.
Right,
so 0.4.
So how much is the 365 divided by 28? Roughly.
You're asking about the month cycle in the Gregorian calendar. What's your point, though? Just make your point.
Well, there should be 13 months in a year, because a month cycle is 28 days, and 365 divided by 28 is 13. Like 0.07.
And would it be interesting if I pointed out that a lot of corporate pay cycles are on that cycle?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised.
So many people get paid.
I'm wondering why the calendar hasn't adapted yet.
So when people
365 change though?
Let me just point this out because there's going to be a few people watching that suddenly have a little eyebrow moment where they go, "Hold on, yeah, every year there's a month that I get paid twice because I get 13 paychecks a month, and they're done pretty much on a lunar cycle."
Right.
Why is that?
And there's 12 months in a year.
Is no one asking themselves why that would be?
Yeah, it's because the Illuminati and the Cabal, they know much more about this world, how it runs and how it operates. Hence why when they're shuffling their money, they operate on systems that are natural to the realm, not based on man-made constructs.
Right. They're paying attention. The bazillionaires are paying attention to the sky. Now, the millionaires probably aren't, but the bazillionaires are.
Yes, they are. They're all about the
There's a very expensive book about the stars.
The cycles. They know about the cycles. They know how life adapts to the cycles very precisely. And when you adapt your methodologies and your timings to that, then you will effectively have more control over nature. So that is basically the reason why they do that. While at the same time, for the general public, giving a false image to kind of conceal that to them. And therefore, they have a little edge over the general public.
We all join hands for a little chant.
Kumbaya.
Well, it's just, it gets ridiculed. And I think that's one of the reasons. You know, like I say, the bazillionaires are paying attention to this stuff. But yet, what do the masses get? Well, they get it ridiculed. The stars, right? The stars, as in the stars in the papers. Well, that's poured scorn all over, isn't it? It's diluted down to this nonsense that gets published with Mystic Meg predictions. And that's what your General Joe's idea of what looking at the stars entails. So it's had a lot of ridicule. You're deterred from it. And if you pay attention and you meet a normie, they'll assume you're trying to emulate Mystic Meg. And therefore a crackpot, right?
Can it make me more money paying attention to the stars? That's all I want to know.
Well, some would argue yes.
Then I'm going to have to start paying more
Look up in the sky for 1 hour a day during nighttime and your finances will increase 20%.
It's not that simple.
I don't think it's that. I think if you operate within
These are not
reason.
actual financial advice.
Let me give Neil an example. If you're a farmer, right, and you've got no access to any outside source of information in terms of what's going to happen with the weather, for example, and you are paying attention to these cycles such in your area that you've got a good handle on what's going to happen, then prosperity will follow because you'll plant your seeds at the right time. So it's not as simple as saying, if I stare at the stars, will I get rich? No, that's not what I mean. And by the same token, if I look at the stars and say, today, Aries is in the realm of Cancer, therefore... No, that's nonsense too. So it's not just looking at them, but if you've got useful information that can be extrapolated out based on what happens because of the cycles. Now, we're talking really basic stuff when we talk about the weather, right? Something else that's always being gotten wrong by the people who claim to be able to predict it, right? Another coincidence, I don't think.
I know what you're saying.
So
you got to study the stars. You got to know when to invest, when not to invest.
Plant seeds was my analogy, but if you want to...
Yeah, well, you just that is planting seeds, but in a different area.
Yeah, but I don't know. Okay, fine. Go and buy some stock. Whatever.
I don't know either.
No. Buy stock in us. Donate now.
Oh, dear.
Flat Earth Early Bird and the Flat Earth Debate.
You give your plug while I'm about to round out the show, Arwin. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, my show on Arwin channel, ARWIGN. I have the Flat Earth Early Bird show starting 1 hour before the Flat Earth debates, but also running live during the weekends for a slightly longer show. I talk about everything, including Flat Earth technicals, about my own cosmogony, about health, about general things, even masks, although I try to avoid it. Yeah, and I'm open for questions as long as you abide by civil rules in my chat. So that's the Flat Earth Early Bird Show every day, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time. What is that again, British time?
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Yeah.
That's ARWIJN, the Arwin Flat Earth Early Bird. So with that, I'll say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 Premium Stream audiences for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!